The smell of freshly mopped floors lingered in the quiet lobby of Sterling Enterprises, the kind of glass and steel corporate giant that loomed over the city like a fortress. It was nearly midnight, and most employees had gone home, leaving only a handful of security guards and one tired janitor pushing his mop across the marble tiles. His name was Daniel Carter. He wasn't the type of man most people noticed. Mid-40s, salt and pepper hair, work boots scuffed from years of use, and a uniform that bore the faint wear of too many wash cycles. He worked quietly, often with a faint hum under his breath, a song only he could hear. To the outside world, he was invisibly the kind of man who held up the foundation but was never thanked for it. Daniel wasn't bitter, though. Life had knocked him down too many times for him to cling to bitterness. His wife had passed away when his daughter was barely 10, and he'd spent the last decade working 2, sometimes 3 jobs, to raise her alone. That daughter, Emily, now 18, was the light in his life. A scholarship student, bright and determined, she carried dreams of being a doctor someday. Daniel's sacrifices were for her. Every mop stroke, every extra shift. He believed kindness mattered, even when no one noticed. On that particular night, Daniel was almost finished when the sound of harsh voices echoed through the lobby. He frowned, leaning on his mop, listening. "I told you already, lady, this store is for members only. If you don't have the credentials, you don't belong here." The voice came from a tall, suited man, the building's head of security, Mr. Crane. He stood near the entrance, his voice sharp, cutting through the quiet like a whip. Facing him was a woman, dressed in simple jeans and a sweatshirt, a baseball cap pulled low over her face. She looked like an ordinary customer, maybe someone who had wandered in by mistake, though the way she held herself, a calm composure, seemed out of place for a stranger being shouted at. "I'm telling you, I just came to ask about an appointment," the woman said, her voice low but firm. "There's no need to raise your voice." "No need?" Crane scoffed, stepping closer. "This is private property. We don't entertain people like you here. So do yourself a favor and leave before I have you escorted out." Daniel's jaw tightened. He hated that tone, the way Crane spoke to her as if she were dirt beneath his shoes. It wasn't the first time he'd seen Crane treat people this way. Just last week, he'd yelled at a delivery driver for being too slow. Daniel had kept his head down, as he always did. But tonight, something in the woman's quiet dignity stirred him. He left his mop by the bucket and walked forward. "Hey, Crane," Daniel called, his voice steady. "That's enough." The security guard turned sharply, eyes narrowing. "Excuse me?" Daniel walked closer, positioning himself between Crane and the woman. "You don't need to talk to her like that. She's not causing any trouble. She's just asking a question." Crane's face reddened. "Stay out of this, Carter. This doesn't concern you. Go back to your mop." Daniel stood his ground. "It concerns me when someone's being disrespected. You can enforce the rules without treating people like garbage." The woman's eyes flicked up at him, and for the first time, Daniel noticed how striking they were: sharp, intelligent, filled with something he couldn't quite place. Crane's voice dropped into a dangerous growl. "You're a janitor. You don't tell me how to do my job." Daniel didn't flinch. "Maybe, but being a janitor doesn't mean I stop being human. And it sure as hell doesn't mean I stop standing up for what's right." The tension hung in the air like static. The woman's lips curved slightly, as if she was suppressing a smile. "Fine," Crane snapped, glaring at Daniel. "If you care so much, you can join her on the sidewalk. Consider this your last night here. You're fired." Daniel felt his stomach sink. He needed this job. Rent, bills, Emily's tuition, everything depended on his paycheck. But he met Crane's stare and nodded slowly. "If that's what it takes, I won't regret it." Crane smirked triumphantly. "Good. Now get out." Daniel turned to the woman, offering a small nod. "You all right, ma'am?" She looked at him, really looked at him, as if memorizing his face. "Yes," she said softly. "Thanks to you." He gave her a faint smile and walked away. retrieving his worn jacket from the supperly closet. He didn't look back. The woman stood in the lobby long after he was gone. Slowly, she pulled off the baseball cap, her long dark hair falling loose around her shoulders. Without the disguise, her face was unmistakably Elena Sterling, billionaire CEO of Sterling Enterprises, one of the youngest and most powerful business leaders in the country. No one had recognized her, no one except the janitor who hadn't cared about her money, her status, or her reputation, only about what was right. And Elena Sterling had just watched him lose everything because of it.